Hey everyone, welcome back to Onyx Pages. I want to say that this is going to be the last haul of 2020, but we have like 16, 3, 5, 8 days left, and you never know what can happen. So let's just say it's a haul.
That was very creative math. I love it. Back.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Onyx Pages. I am Jerry. Tomi is ever present, and here and it's a haul. First of all, I want to thank all of you who have recently joined this channel as a result of the collaboration that I did with my internet cousin, Evelyn. If you have not had an opportunity to go and see our collab, definitely go over to her channel and check it out. I have to say, and I'm gonna try and hold it together, but there's been tequila. Evelyn is one of my favorite YouTube content creators. I've been following her channel for quite some time, even before I myself was on YouTube. I think that she is innovative, that she's creative, and most importantly, she is one of the content creators on our platform who gives space to black people, in particular black women, to just be, whether it's being able to call in black, whether it's being able to just like think about what we need to do in this historical moment, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's like after watching Wakanda, whether it's the election. Even as a Canadian, I have found her like political and cultural commentary to be full of intellect, full of comedy, and it was just amazing to be able to share some space with her on the platform. So thank you, Evelyn, for that. Thank you all of you who have decided to take a corner, to turn right down the hallway that is BookTube, and to check out what this corner of YouTube has to offer. You'll find that for the most part, BookTube is a lot more sort of casual, although I feel like I need to up my editing game after seeing the mastery that Evelyn put into that video. But we are a little bit more casual, a little bit more low-key. We're a bunch of nerds who have cameras and who talk about books, which is what I'm going to do today. And for everyone else who's been a part of the Onyx Pages community, it's great to see you back. And yes, new glasses, Zilul, I'm happy about them. Okay, so this all the books that I'm going to be talking about today, and they're here, all the books that I'm going to be talking about today I got from our neighborhood bookshop called Another Story Bookshop. You would have heard me talk about them in the past. They are people of color centered, queer friendly, trans friendly, accessible. They pay a lot of attention in their selection, so they curate a book collection that is just very diverse. And I don't say that in the like just got woke kind of way, but actually they've been thinking about what it means to support writers and artists who from the get have thought about what it means to have proper representation in the literary arts. And so it's been amazing to follow them and to buy my books there as I try to wean myself off of the online mall, which shall not be named. So without further ado, here are a bunch of books that I got from Another Story Bookshop. Okay, so the first one you'll be very excited about because you would have seen it before. Oh no, you wouldn't have seen it before. Okay, time travel. At some point you will say that you will have seen it before on this channel because there's another video that I haven't quite uploaded. But needless to say, this is Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. And I'm just gonna say that for now because there will be another video about this. But this may end up being a giveaway at some point. But this is P. Djeli Clark, and I love P. Djeli Clark's work. I have now read 2 other of his works. One is The Black God's Drums, and the other is The Haunting of Tramcar 015. And I want to say that I've read, I'm just looking up here because that's where I hold his stuff. I want to say that I've read another, but maybe that would be a lie. Anyway, so this is Ring Shout. Well, I might as well read you what this is about. In America, demons wear white hoods. Obvious. In 1915, the Birth of a Nation cast a spell across America, swelling the Klan's ranks and drinking deep from the darkest thoughts of white folk. All across the nation they ride, spreading fear and violence among the vulnerable. They plan to bring hell to earth, but even the Ku Kluxes can die. Standing in their way are Maurice Boudreau and her fellow resistance fighters, a foul-mouthed sharpshooter and a Harlem hellfighter. Armed with blade, bullet, and bomb, very good alliteration, they hunt their hunters and send the clan's demons straight to hell. But something awful's brewing in Macon, or Macon? Macon? That's a place. And the war on hell is about to heat up. Can Maurice stop the clan before it ends the world? So Ring Shout, I was obviously attracted by the author. I was attracted by the cover. And I heard about Ring Shout some time ago, and you should check out Chloe. I think Chloe has done a review of this on Thistle and Verse. But after watching Lovecraft Country and after deciding not to read Lovecraft Country, I was looking for something that might have the beginnings of a similar feel, and I think that this might, so Ring Shout. And the next book is Maya and the Rising Dark. Gorgeous cover, middle grade by Rena Barron. Cool. She's very fierce looking. 12-year-old Maya is daydreaming about summer break in her South Side Chicago neighborhood when she witnesses the color bleed from the world. She's the only one who sees it, and the other weird occurrences like the were hyenas stalking the streets at night. Not to mention there's a scary man made of shadows plaguing her dreams. Her best friends try to find a reasonable explanation, perhaps a ghost uprising or a lunchroom pudding experiment gone awry. But to Maya, it sounds like something from one of Papa's fantastical stories of her favorite Oya comics. When Papa goes missing, Maya is suddenly thrust in a world both strange and familiar as she uncovers the truth. Her father is the guardian of the veil between our world and the dark, where an army led by the Lord of Shadows, the man from Maya's nightmares, awaits. Maya herself is a godling, half Orisha and half human, and her neighborhood is a safe haven. But now that the veil is failing, the Lord of Shadows is determined to destroy the human world. Maya will have to unlock her hidden powers, save her father, and bring order to the world before darkness consumes it. She just hopes she can do it in time to attend Comic-Con, because priorities, before summer is over. So this is Maya and the Rising Dark. And Rena Barron, is it Kingdom of Souls that she wrote? This is Houghton Mifflin, which has been publishing children's books for quite some time. I'm not sure what Rena Barron wrote before this, but I think I've read it. But gorgeous cover. The next one is Tristan Strong Destroys the World. This is actually going to be a gift for my little nephew because I ended up getting a copy of this at another store. So Tristan. So all I'll say about this is that this is the sequel to Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. So these go together. It's a middle grade series. It's from Rick Riordan Presents, written by Kwame Mbalia. And Kwame Mbalia is very sweet, very talented. And I had the pleasure of watching him get interviewed by my girl Noria from Chronicles of Noria for FIACon this year. But again, this is another middle grade that engages the Orisha because Ogun, who's god of iron, Ogun is in this as well. So I don't know, like all of these children's stories with the Orisha as characters is just giving me all of the feels, because I feel like when I was growing up, I didn't really get exposed to the Orisha growing up Catholic. So the idea that now children's books allow children to be exposed to these African gods, these West African gods, is really cool. All right, so this is King of the Rising, and this is the sequel to Queen of the Conquered, I believe. Queen of the Conquered, yes, Queen of the Conquered by Kaysen Callender. So I'm not going to read to you the synopsis for this, just to know that this is book 2 in the Islands of Blood and Storm series by Kaysen Callender. Kaysen is the one who brought us the lovely middle grade that was set in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the name is escaping me right now. Give me a minute to find it. Hurricane Child. Beautiful, beautiful, sweet story. So I want to read more of Kacen Callender's work. I do have a review of Hurricane Child somewhere. You can find it in my video. Okay, now this one. Ooh, I did not check this cover out.
Oh, nice.
Nice, eh? Mm. So this is Daughters of Jubilation. Oh, the lighting is not doing this justice, but Google is your friend. Daughters of Jubilation was written by Carolee Cawthron, and let me read this one to you. So, in the Jim Crow South, white supremacy reigns and tensions are high. But Eveline Deschamps has other things to worry about. She has 2 little sisters to look after, an overworked single mother, and a longtime crush who is finally making a move. On top of all that, Evie's magic abilities are growing stronger by the day. Her family calls it Jubilation, a gift passed down from generations of black women since the time of slavery. And as her own magic continues to unlock, something dark comes loose and threatens to resurface. When the demons of Evie's past finally shake free, she must embrace her mighty lineage and summon the power that lies within her. And this is Carolee Cawthron. That's her picture. She looks very fly. And the back cover is really nice. And I'm really, you know, some people talk about, and I think this is a fair criticism, a lot of people talk about not wanting to read books that are set in the Jim Crow South, not set in the times of slavery, because they want to read for joyfulness and for expansion and for fun and to read soft things. And I get that. I totally get that. I think for me, I definitely have my moods, and I actually find it very healing to read books that are set in the time of slavery in different parts of the world, because there is something very healing and very liberating about being able to take such a tragic moment in the our stories of black people and to infuse it with magic and hope and you know, different outcomes, right? It's almost as though it's sort of loosening up the stories so that we can reclaim them differently, right? Because really, like, if you just leave it to the history books, what do we know? African people were enslaved. It was a traumatizing time. We're still living in the after effects of that, you know, transgenerational trauma. All of this is true. At the same time, there are survival stories. There are stories of people who have been able to engage in healing. People who have who were able to develop uncanny abilities. Even the act of surviving under such harsh circumstances, I don't see how that's not magic, right? I don't see how that's not supernatural. And so being able to write from that place, to identify a source of hope and power, and then to grow from that is incredible. And before I go on to my next book, I just want to shout out my new friend. His name is LP Kindred, and he is a writer. He is also connected to FIYA and FIYACon, and we met this year because I was involved in the FIYACon conference. I'm pointing like it's over there. It's not over there. It's in the past. it's not a thing. But LP is exquisite, a great writer, just a lovely person, and also an R&B singer. And LP wrote a short story this year, and that short story was picked up by, I think, FIYA magazine. But in addition to that, it was picked up by LeVar Burton. And LeVar, who has an amazing podcast where he reads science fiction and well, not only, but he reads stories with his gorgeous voice. He picked up this story and he read this story, and it's called Your Rover Is Here, and the story is incredible. Add onto that, so add like the amazingness of LP's writing, layer on top of that LeVar Burton, layer on top of that the beautiful sort of acoustics of the podcast world, just a whole other realm of storytelling. And I say that now because that story is an example for me of how you can tell stories of Black people getting over and Black people protecting each other in circumstances where white supremacy is present. And so I don't yet tire of these stories. I love to see the different ways that storytellers can find healing and offer us different ways to reflect on the past and to think forward. Okay, that's my TED Talk. Let me go back to the books. All right, so the next book, I am very excited about this one. This is Master of Poisons by Andrea Hairston. Also blurbed by Danielle Jose Older, who is over here. Battle Hill Bolero, Midnight Tango, Half Resurrection Blues, and also up there with the Shadow House Fall and the Shadow Shaper series. But I digress. I'm talking about Andrea Hairston, who is also here. Lonely Stardust and Mindscape, also Redwood and Wildfire, and a couple of other pieces. So Andrea Hairston is an OG Afrofuturist writer. Let me read what this is about. So, and also this cover is so cool. And also, because I'm not going to get to the point anytime soon, you should check out the interview that I had the honor of doing with Andrea Hairston, because we did this interview, I believe in 2018, when she was a guest at the WisCon conference. And that is a feminist science fiction conference that's held in Wisconsin. And she actually talks about Master of Poisons coming out. So this is it. Let me read the back. Award-winning author Andrea Hairston weaves together African folktales and post-colonial literature into unforgettable fantasy. The world is changing. Poison desert eats good farmland. Once sweet water turns foul. The wind blows sand and sadness across the empire. To get caught in a storm is death. To live and do nothing is death. There is magic in the world, but good conjure is hard to find. Jola, right-hand man and spy master of the Lord of the Archesian Empire, is desperately trying to save his adopted homeland, even in exile. Awa, a young woman trained to be a powerful griot, tests the limits of her knowledge and comes into her own in a world of sorcery, floating cities, kindly beasts, and uncertain men. Awash in the rhythms of folklore and storytelling, and rich with Hairston's characteristic lush prose, Master of Poisons is epic fantasy that will leave you aching for the world it burns into being. That's great. And Andrea Hairston is also beautiful and fun, and I'm looking forward to that. She is her writing is very illustrious and very epic. What I would recommend, based on what I've read so far, like it's, 512 pages. So this is a tome. What I would recommend is clear your slate for Andrea, because she's gonna take you into another world. So you need to just make sure that you're not like waiting for the next episode of whatever. You need to devote time and space and attention, because there's a lot, quite like Nisi Shaw's writing, there's a lot there that you need to just sort of let wash over you so that you can fully get the experience. Her work is work that should be marinated. So if you choose to read this, find the right time. This is, for me, it can't be like a commuter book. I have to give it the respect it deserves. Okay. The next one is The Year of the Witching, and I believe that many of these are 2020 releases. So this is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, and if I am not mistaken, The Year of the Witching, so Alexis Henderson was interviewed by Seiji of The Artisan Geek as part of Fortnite Frights. So if you're interested in watching that, you should check it out. Okay, so here we are, the year of the witching. First of all, love that cover. This actually reminds me of, what was the show that we watched? I don't even know if you watched it, but it was the one in that house with all the ghosts.
Something Blythe?
Yes, the house, Blythe Manor or something like that. It's giving me Blythe Manor situations, so yes. Okay. A young woman living in a rigid puritanical society discovers dark powers within herself in this stunning feminist fantasy debut. So we've got darkness, feminism, and fantasy, and I'm already here. Like, I just love that. In the lands of Bethel, where the prophet's word is law, Emmanuel Moore's very existence is blasphemy. Her mother's union with an outsider of a different race cast her once proud family into disgrace. So Emmanuel does her best to worship the Father, follow holy protocol, and lead a life of submission, devotion, and absolute conformity, like all the other women in the settlement. Okay, so pause. What I remember liking about the setup of this book was that it kind of gave me this... There's a lot of religion in this book. And for me, I like books that have religion as a backdrop, especially when religion gets challenged in the book. And that's really why I enjoyed The Handmaid's Tale when I read it when it was written back in a decade. And while I also appreciate... Why are you laughing at me? And why I did, it's true. I mean, the bastardization that we've seen on TV is a whole other issue. But yes, anywho... yeah, let's just get back to this. But a mishap lures her into the forbidden dark woods surrounding Bethel, where the first prophet once chased and killed 4 powerful witches. Their spirits are still lurking there, and they bestow a gift on Emmanuel, the journal of her dead mother, who Emmanuel is shocked to learn once sought sanctuary in the wood. We're not yet done, but I have to say a couple of things. This whole black magical family going back generations and secret talismans hidden in the woods is very, like, we saw that in Lovecraft Country. We saw that in The Skeleton Key, the movie from back in the day. We've seen that in a lot of stories, and there's something about the woods as a place of wildness and of power and of femininity that I'm very much attracted to. So loving that. Fascinated by the secrets in the diary, Emmanuel finds herself struggling to understand how her mother could have consorted with the witches, 'cause she was one. But when she begins to learn grim truths about the church and its history, she realizes the true threat to Bethel is its own darkness. And she starts to understand that if Bethel is to change, it must begin with her. So this has a lot of the... What I like about this is that it actually feels like the backstory is almost as rich as the backstories you tend to get in vampire novels, because what vampire novels allow you to do, because they live for so long, you get to have all of these stories across decades and across time, and witches, you know, are human for the most part, and so don't live, they're not immortal for the most part, and so you're sort of limited to a lifetime. But what this does is it gives us this generational view of power and of magic. So I'm very, very intrigued by this. It seems like the pace is slow. I hope that we spend a lot of time in the woods in this story, and I hope that there are a lot of like things that are dug up and found, and secrets and photographs and letters that need to be decoded because they have this like power in them, like all of that stuff that J.K. Rowling stole. Like I can't wait to get into that. All right, I have 3 more. The next one is The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emezi. So I've read by Akwaeke Emezi. So they wrote Pet, and they wrote Freshwater. And let me just, before I tell you why I'm so excited about their writing. So this is their debut dark fantasy speculative work for adults. It's characterized as, it doesn't even say, which makes sense. I don't think it says here. Yeah. Anyway, so this was their debut, for their adult debut. Stunning. Freshwater is a stunning piece of work. And let me just, before I say more about Akwaeke, let me just talk about Pet. So Pet, and this was gifted to me by Jocelyn, and of Yogi with a Book, and it was just one of the sweetest gifts. I got this at Booknet Fest, which I hope we'll be able to go to in person next year. But yeah, she gave me this copy and I read Pet and I loved it. And this is Akwaeke Emezi's debut middle grade new adult book. And taken together, Emezi is able to take difficult themes and without losing the potency of the trauma, they are able to deliver the content to us in a transformative manner. Like, they don't step away from the difficulty. They persuade us to believe that we can withstand it. And not a lot of writers can do that very well. And a lot of writers will step back, further back from the trauma. And I find that Emezi steps right in and gives it to you, and also shows you the beauty of survival in all of that. Also, Emezi is exquisitely talented at being able to write from the internal headspace and heart space of their characters. So at the end of whatever book you're reading by Emezi, you are not confused by the internal landscape of the characters that they create. And I just feel like Emezi's an insta-buy for me. I don't care the genre. I don't care the story. I want all the Emezi all the time. And so here we are, The Death of Vivek Oji. So with that, what does it mean for a family to lose a child they never really knew? One afternoon in a town of southeastern Nigeria, a mother opens her front door to discover her son's body wrapped in colorful fabric at her feet. What follows is the tumultuous, heart-wrenching story of one family's struggle to understand a child whose spirit is both gentle and mysterious. Raised by a distant father and a compassionate but overprotective mother, Vivek Oji suffers disorienting blackouts, moments of disconnection between self and surroundings. As adolescence leads to adulthood, Vivek finds solace in friendship with the warm, boisterous daughters of the Niger wives, foreign-born women married to Nigerian men. But Vivek's closest bond is with Osita, the worldly, high-spirited cousin whose teasing confidence masks a guarded private life. As the relationship deepens and as Osita struggles to understand Vivek's escalating crisis, the mystery gives way to a heart-stopping act of violence in a moment of exhilarating freedom. Compulsively readable, teeming with unforgettable characters, The Death of Vivek Oji is a novel of family, friendship, and the self that challenges expectations. A dramatic story of loss and transcendence that will move every reader. Now, this is landing as mundane on the palette for me, meaning that I don't know that there are going to be elements of fantasy or magical realism or anything like that. All that means is that I might not review it on this channel unless there's some kind of, fantastical element, but I will eventually read this. If you have read The Death of Vivek Oji, let me know if there is some kind of fantastical element to it. All right, 2 more books. I'm gonna leave this one till the end because everybody's talking about it. Okay, so this one is not written by a Black person. So this was written by Danielle Jose Older, who is not Black, who is not Black. So that's that. Why am I talking about it on this channel? I am talking about it on this channel because the Shadowshaper Legacy is the final story in, I think it's the final story. Well, it's book 3 of the Shadowshaper Cipher, and I believe that that's the I think it's the last one. But I did a review of the first book in this series. I haven't read the second one, but I will finish this because this is like Latinx, black Afro-Latinx main character, urban fantasy, queer positive, colorful, lots of intergenerational interaction, and just like, it's a bop. Like, it's a really sweet, interesting world that Danielle Jose Older has built. I had the pleasure of listening to Danielle speak at a conference that I went to many years ago now in Amsterdam called Other Futures. And I believe that he was saying that he has worked as a paramedic, I want to say, or worked as a first responder, if not a paramedic. And that in that experience, like working in New York as a paramedic or as a first responder and being so close to death and the grittiness of the urban context, that's where he decided to write from. So a lot of his work is gritty, is urban fantasy. Even like the middle grade stuff, like the Dactyl Hill Squad. I think these kids are running around chasing dinosaurs in the middle of like the streets of Brooklyn or whatever, although I haven't read it, so that's probably wrong. But in any event, like, there's something about where he situates his stories, and the first story deals with the horror of gentrification, and so and the magic is just so powerful, and he has a relationship with the Orisha, and so you see that coming out in his work. So I'm gonna read this as well, but it's part of my collection for that reason. And then the last book that I'm going to talk about, all I know is that people that I respect deeply and who I like and love and whose opinions matter to me, people are raving about this book, raving. And so I have to read it because not only do I need to know what everybody's talking about, but I also need a palate cleanser from Children of Virtue and Vengeance, and that is Legendborn. Legendborn by Tracy Deonn is, first of all, beautiful, beautiful cover. I've heard it compared to, this is a book that whenever I hear people talking about it, they say that this is Black Girl Magic fantasy done right. And you'll notice that there's a lot of middle grade and a lot of YA in what I'm reading, and that's unusual, but it is what it is. So let me just read what this says. After her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. So, set on campus, so she's like in high school, there is a magical attack, and she's smart. Like, she's smart, she wants to escape, she's grieving her mother dying. Like, this is a great setup. A flying demon feeding on human energies, a secret society of so-called legend-born students who hunt the creatures down, and a mysterious teenage mage who calls himself a Merlin and who attempts and fails to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. So someone is trying to convince her that she's not perceiving the world as she is. And I think if that's not a metaphor for growing up as a Black girl, I don't know what is. The magic's failure reveals Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, another Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on the police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of their initiates. Okay, infiltrating a magical society of people who think that they've got powers that no one else does being a black girl who is immune somehow to that power, and also trying to solve a mystery of her mother's death. Like, in a world where if you are female and black and you are killed, you can't trust the stories that are told by institutions about what happened. And so it's that kind of connection that I find really interesting to like real world issues. She recruits Nick, a self-exiled Legendborn, with his own grudge against the group, and their reluctant partnership pulls them deeper into the society's secrets. I also love secret societies, fraternities, and sororities. And they grow closer to each other. But when the Legendborn reveal themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights and explain that a magical war is coming, Bree has to decide how far she'll go for the truth and whether she should use her magic to take the society down or join the fight. Okay, so now she has to choose. She has to choose to be a part of the establishment or to nurture her like unique magic. So Legendborn. That's it. It sounds really cool. I want to learn more about it. Okay, so those are the books that I got from Another Story Bookshop. And the last thing that I want to do is pull this out of this envelope that I got, because this is from Penguin Teen. So as you may know, I am part of the group of Penguin Teen influencers. And whenever they come out with black science fiction and fantasy, I like to get my hands on something. So this is the Penguin Teen, this is a Penguin Teen something. Let's see what it is. I like the color scheme. Ooh, this is a very, I'm very attracted to these colors, especially now. Do you like them?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like these, there's something happening here. Do you see it? Do you see what I see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Oh, and the paper's so thick. You might not know this about me, but I love paper.
I like thick paper.
This is gonna end up in a collage somewhere. Okay. All right. Ooh. I had to, this is so me. I saw the front and then I'm like, need a black person on the back, because if not, it's not going in the video. Woo! So the hunt begins in 2021, Beasts of Prey. So this is a promotional card telling us about something probably written by that person. So let's see. Hello, my name is Ayana. Hi, Ayana. And I'm so excited to introduce you to my debut novel, Beasts of Prey. It is a young adult fantasy that follows two black teens as they strike a dangerous alliance to hunt down a monster, and it's hitting shelves fall 2021. Among other things, you can expect a healthy dose of monsters, Pan-African mythos, and most important to me, hashtag melanin magic. This was the story I looked for on shelves as a kid. I get it. After so many years writing it, it was incredibly important to me that the first people I shared this big news with were the people I wrote it for. This one's for us. Thank you for uplifting black stories, black creators, and black art. I can't wait to share the magical journey with you and hope that you'll join me for the adventure. Let the hunt begin. Okay, Ayana Gray. I am okay. I'm excited about that. All right. So you have thankfully watched this video all the way to the end. I want to shout out Chloe from Thistle and Verse because Chloe has read a bunch of the books and has reviewed a bunch of the books that I've talked about today. She's read Master of Poisons, and she's also, I think she's read Legendborn. I want to say she's definitely read Pet, and she's read Ring Shout, I believe. But you should go over to her channel, subscribe to her channel, and to support her content. She is brilliant. She's funny. She's I don't know if she wants me to tell you what she does in real life, but she's super smart. And you see that when she talks about her books. It takes a very intellectual and exacting approach. She approaches her reviews like a scientist, and I absolutely love it. So please do check out Chloe. And if you've watched this all the way to the end, what would I like you to include in your comments glasses.
Yeah.
Glasses, because I have
Funky
new glasses.
glasses.
Funky glasses. Though you probably won't have a choice. But yes, if you can find some glasses or goggles or something that you put on your face, put that in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Read with purpose. That's what we're here to do. Talk to you soon.